What's going on, everyone? We're back with another spoiler talk for The Last of Us, episode 5, Feel Her Love. And this was a shorter episode than we're used to. The others have been about 52 to 53 minutes, but this one was around 43, so about 10 minutes shorter. It's obviously just setting up the last two episodes because, yeah, there's only two left, and then the season's over. I'm guessing they're probably already shooting season 3. I don't know that's official. The season so far has been kind of, it's been kind of a slow burn, but that's not always bad. I feel like just compared to season 1, there's a lot less action. But again, it's less about that now. It's more about Ellie's journey, Abby's journey, how Ellie ultimately resolves this situation in her eyes. Guess we will see. Obviously, we won't see by the end of this season. They're breaking up the second game into 2 seasons. As you can see, this only 7 episodes compared to last season's 9. And I'm guessing next season might be like 7 again, but we will see. Episode starts with Elise, who works with the wolves, I think, as like one of like the leaders or whatever, and she's being interrogated by Hanhuran. I had to look that up. Some kind of Scottish surname. I'm guessing she's the leader of like these people because you see her like picture like painted on the wall and stuff. I don't know if she's with the military people or if she's with the cultist people. I can't really keep up. Elise is being asked why the basement has been sealed up and why some of her men were left down there. And she explains that she was sending the teams to the basements to, scout for infected and stuff like that. The first 6 floors of the building were cleared, some infected. And then they started going to the basement. First floor was empty. Second floor, there's like cordyceps on all the walls and stuff everywhere. Leon, who is Elise's son, was sent on the crew. He reports back that he's like coughing and he's saying that it's in the air, like the spores, the infection's in the air. So he said to seal them in the basement, which she did. Hanharan, she says it was like a noble sacrifice to make and that they owe her a great debt for sealing up that infection down there. And obviously, when you see that and you hear that, obviously, Ellie is gonna be the only person who can go through there. And we see that later when she's chasing Nora through the basement. After that, Dina and Ellie, they're in this theater. Dina has like one of her gun magazines and she's like using it to draw straight lines because she doesn't have a protractor. And she's like triangulating the wolf patrols so they can find a safe route through the city to find Abby. And while she's doing that, Ellie goes off to do her own thing. She finds like they're in a theater, so she goes to like the main theater room and there's like guitars on stage, so she grabs a guitar. She starts to play this song and she only sings one line. If I ever were to lose you is what she says before she stops. And I'm guessing she's singing that about Dina because Ellie does start having second guesses about this journey in this episode, but it could also be about Joel, even though she's already lost him. But I think she was thinking about Dina. Anyway, Dina comes in and says that she found a gap in the patrols that they could go through to get through safely. But then Ellie points out that there must be a reason they're avoiding this spot, and it's like a warehouse of some kind. So they're expecting infected. We see that, the warehouse is just filled with, intelligent infected, as you see later. So that scene was pretty cool. So on the way there, they're like walking down the street and they're just talking, just normal volume, just walking down the street, not even checking if anyone's listening or whatnot. So I feel like this episode and last episode they kind of did that. So that stuff is kind of taking me out of it. Just them walking down the street, just talking, and there could be anyone in any of these buildings listening. Besides that, Dina brings up to Ellie that she never asked Dina about her first person that she killed, and then she basically had like the demon slayer treatment where she came home and her mother and sister were killed, but it's different because the killer was still there and she had a gun on her, and so she shot the killer and told Ellie that if the killer was never there, like when she showed up, she would have been hunting him for like the rest of her life. She said that it doesn't matter if their family was hurt first, she still would have gone after them for justice and whatnot. Basically saying to Ellie that she'll either go home with her or she'll go with her, whatever she chooses. But clearly she wants to go get justice for Joel. So they continue forward. They make it to the warehouse. Dina is like, we need to do stealth or we need to run when it's time to run. Ellie agrees, so they get their knives out. They go into this warehouse. They see one of those intelligent infected. He's like on top of the storage shelf. Ellie comes up with this plan to, sneak up and take him out. But then they notice there's like 10 other smart infected just behind them, watching them. Ellie tells Dina to run to this little gated area and to lock herself in. And Ellie runs around attracting the zombies and stuff like that. And I was gonna say they're terrible at aiming. They get a couple shots off, but most of the shots are just nothing. Most of the shots don't even hit anything. They just fly off and hit the wall and whatever. And Dina manages to lock herself in the cage thing, and Ellie's like got like 3 zombies on top of her, and they're like biting her. I'm guessing they were biting her. I don't know if she's able to kick them off, but they were like tearing through the cage, and it looked like they were gonna die. Obviously, they weren't gonna die. And Jesse shows up. I was like, it's either gonna be Jesse or Tommy, and it was Jesse who shows up. He saves them from the warehouse. He tells them that Tommy's also in the city. They came to look for them. And when they leave, obviously all the shooting attracted the wolves, and they start getting chased. They get chased into the park area where the wolves don't go into because the Scar cult is there. That's where they witness. They're like in the bushes hiding, and they see the cultists. They like hang this dude. Like he was a wolf, and they like hang this dude and like cut his stomach open and like disembowel him and shit. It was pretty gnarly. But eventually, like they communicate through whistling. So someone starts whistling, and then an arrow just all of a sudden just hits Dina in the leg. And it was funny. She didn't start screaming. She was just like, she was like holding it in. I'm like, girl, they know your location. You can scream. They know where you are. They just shot an arrow at you. Like, you can scream in pain. Jesse takes Dina. They run off separately. Ellie once again attracts the people towards her. She hides in this like tree stump. As in classic fashion, the guards get right up to the point where she is and stops. And they're like, oh. Speaking of like the Oblivion remake, they're, oh, must be the wind. And then they just turn around and leave, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then Ellie, she's gonna go meet up with Jesse and Dina, but then she stops and she's like, I've come this far. And she decides to go after Abby herself. She manages to sneak into one of the bases, and then she finds Nora, and she has Nora at gunpoint. Nora starts taunting her, saying that Joel deserved it and whatnot. Nora manages to throw this like liquid on her and escape, but Ellie chases her, and they end up in the basement on the 2nd level, where Nora is obviously, she's inhaling the spores, so she's on the ground, she's coughing, and she's gonna be turning. Yeah, so Ellie finds her cornered. Nora's like, you're an idiot, you got us both killed, the spores, we're inhaling the spores. And then Ellie reveals that she's immune, and she's like, oh, you're the immune girl, which I thought she would have known already because Abby's dad was working on a cure, and Joel killed the dad, and Ellie came after Joel. And I thought she would make that connection, but I guess not. Finds out that Ellie's the immune girl now somehow. And then she won't give up Abby's location because she's dead anyway, so she's like, might as well just go out like that. But then Ellie grabs a pipe, and taking a little thing out of Abby's page, or taking something out of Abby's book. She starts like whacking her on the legs with it, asking where Abby is. It cuts to black. I thought the episode was going to end there, and I was like, huh, interesting. It's an interesting ending. But then it fades back in, and Ellie's waking up in her bed. Joel walks in, he's like, hey, kiddo, and that's where the episode ends. So I'm guessing the next episode is just going to be a full-on like flashback, so that'll be interesting. And yeah, there's only 2 episodes left, so it might be like flashback and then Ellie and Abby confrontation or something. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do that because they're obviously splitting it up into 2 seasons, and I don't know how it's gonna end. It's obviously gonna be some kind of cliffhanger. Clearly, this is obviously like a very much a setup season for what's gonna come in the last season, which is the 3rd one. Which I don't know. Maybe they'll do a 4th one depending on how they end the 3rd season, but we will see. So I'm enjoying the show. Like I said, it was like a shorter episode this week, so not much happened. It was pretty quick to the point. But yeah, let me know. Did you like the episode? You like the show so far? Are you not liking it? Let me know why. Hit the like button, subscribe. Peace.